Welcome to SAS. So I'd like to show you around the SAS system. We're going to use some commands that you may not completely understand at this point, but don't worry about that. What I want you to do is to get to know the editor a little bit and know your way around. Okay, so first off, to use SAS at Northwestern, you need to get an account. So you click here on this form button. You're going to be brought to this page that has an application. You fill this out, you send it in. There's a place where you can indicate your department. Tell them you're with IMC, give them your course number, and so forth. You get an account. You might have to wait a day before that account comes in. And then once you have the account, you can access it through any browser. So if you click on this, you get this page. You type in your password. I'm not going to do it because it takes a while to load. Once you've loaded it, you end up with this. Now, before I go on at all, let me just mention that there's another way to access SAS. So any of you that know Unix can SSH over to a computer called Harden, harden.it.northwestern.edu, and access SAS that way. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then don't worry about it. Just use this browser, which is quite easy to use. All right. One thing to note about it is a lot of my videos use Unix, use the Unix window, and you shouldn't be concerned. So really the point of this class is to learn how to program in SAS, learn how to use the language. It's not to use the interface. So the language is the same wherever you use it. All right, let's do our first session. So I guess before we do this session, I want to show you around this interface a little bit. So if we come down here, these are all the folders that are on this big computer, and there's a folder called SSCC. Now you'll see that that's popping up over here, this SSCC thing. So SSCC datasets IMC 498. So if you go click on this, you're going to get a list. I have to wait a second, I guess. Here are all the folders that sit underneath it. And let's see, we want to go to data sets. Then there's IMC 498. And you can see all of the data sets that are sitting around in here. Now there's a lot of stuff in here. There's anything with a SAS7 BDAP file is a SAS data set. So anything that has this little icon by it. Those are data sets that we can use. You're going to see some other files that are text files that you're going to have to read in, like these employee data sets. Okay, now there is one in particular called employee.sas7bdat that we want to mess around with. So you could just click on it and SAS will open it and you can kind of browse through it. So you'll see that this is a data set with 71 rows and 6 columns, and it looks like it has some information about various employees in it. All right, well, usually we don't do that. You can if you want, but we'll access this using a program. So let's go over to this editor. This is a program editor, and to save time, I'm going to just copy and paste this. So we now have our program. So I've typed in a program. Normally you're not going to be able to just cut and paste it. You're going to have to write this yourself. Now go click on the little man, and this will run the entire program. So it takes SAS a few seconds. And you really have 3 windows. You have a code window. The code window is where you write your program. The log is what it sounds like. It's a log of everything that SAS did. Now, you should always get in the habit of looking at the log, because if there's mistakes in your program, SAS will tell you about those mistakes in the log. The general rule is look out for red. So red are error messages. So SAS just told you everything that it did, and notice there is no red, so that's a good sign. Finally, there's a results window. So in this results window, you can see a variety of things. So this first thing is the contents. It's kind of the contents of a book. 71 observations, 6 variables. You have a list of the variables. Then we have a printout of the first 10 observations. We have some basic descriptive statistics about each of those variables. And then we have a frequency distribution on the training level variable. All right. If we go over to the program for a second, we can see what caused this to happen. We're going to go through all this in great detail, but this contents at the top was created by this proc contents. So proc contents says, give me that contents of the data set here. Okay, remember it was called employee. Then this proc print prints the first 10 observations. Proc means gives me some descriptive statistics, and this gives me a frequency distribution. All right, at this point, I want you to go back and modify this. So you're going to, type some of these other things. So let's see, we have to get rid of obs as an example. We're going to put var age years, exp years, sum age years, exp years. So I'm just copying this. And just for illustrative purposes, I'm going to leave out a semicolon. So I'm going to make a mistake intentionally. So if I hit the little man, what you'll see is that if we go over to the log, SAS should complain. And sure enough, we're getting an error message. So error variable run not found. That's what happens when you make a mistake. So we're going to have a lot of discussion of this. Let's add that semicolon back. And if I run it this time, it'll work. Okay, so what I'd like for you to do now is to try this on your own. So go modify this and see what happens.